just to continue on with the testing, I've done some normal data. Now the second category of data, test data, is extreme data. Now that's where you choose data that's sort of at the ends of the range of possible values. So an obvious one is to say 0 coffees. And if they're at, well, let's just put 0 coffees, 0 cakes. And I would expect that you would get 0 and 0. So we could just check that that does work. So I'll go back into my live code program and I'm going to, let's just move this, well, it's the snipping tool, isn't it? So I'll just click on there and say 0 and 0. So that works all right. And this is my snipping tool. If I just take a quick little evidence of that, and then I'll just pop that into the test table to show that that did in fact work. Right, and let's just move that down a little bit so you can see what we're doing. Usually there are 2 extremes of data. So for this program, we haven't really built in a kind of large number or upper limit, but we could just try and just see, let's put in another extreme. What happens when we put in like a really large number, like 1 million cups of coffee, and well, let's do 1 billion cakes. Now, what would actually happen? I'm just going to put a page break in here so that we've got the test table on the same page. What would actually happen if I put that data in? Well, what we could put in the expected result is, well, we're actually not sure. At this point in your programming career, you might actually be wondering what would happen if you put in really large numbers into a program. So let's just save that, jot this down. Let's just try 1 million coffees and 1 billion slices of cake. And what seems to have happened is that it has calculated it, but it looks as though the fields were too small for the numbers to actually go into properly. So I'm going to write that into my test table. It did seem to calculate correctly, but the results, or the prices, or just even the numbers actually, numbers were too big for the fields. So you don't have to make the program work for every single case, and in fact a lot of programming is about trying to sort of think outside the box and think, what would happen, what would my program do if there was an unusual situation. Now we've got normal data, we've got extreme data, and then the last category is exceptional. And this is where we type in things that are, well, just plain daft, really. So, for example, what happens if we put in -1 coffee and I put in a cake? And again, you might say, well, I'm not sure what the expected result would be. So let's go and see what it actually does. So we were going to do -1 coffees. Oh, and it calculated it, and it gave me a negative amount. And I'm going to do A, slices of carrot cake. And you see the program has crashed. So I'm going to just, while it's there, I'm going to take a picture of it crashing. And I'm going to go back into my test table and I'm going to say this calculated a negative price, and this one here, the program crashed. And we could maybe paste in our little screenshot of it crashing. It's gone upside down. Let's move it the right way up. Whoop. So I'm going to go, I think I'll just start that one again. There. And you see it crashed on the calculation line because it just couldn't multiply a letter or a character by a decimal number like this. So what we've done, let's just make this, oops, move those over a bit, just sort our table out of it. And there. So I've done some normal, some extreme, and some exceptional. You know what, I think I'm just going to put the margins onto narrow, and then I'll have a bit more space in my table. So I'm just going to drag this out here, drag this here, drag that there, and then I can just see a little bit better. So just to recap, I said what the program was going to do. I planned some variables which have all just moved out of the way because of the margins, and I did some test data. So if you want to go off and do some test data, and the last video will show you the final stage.